operate in eternity and operate in present and always now is God. That's why he said, I am that I am, because he always is. He can't be anything else but on time and ready. And so we can say the present, but it's hard for us, it's impossible for us to operate in the present, because by the time you say present, it's already past. And so we thank God for the ability to be able to press forward for the future. Now, we're thinking about the future. I know that I've got to have some more wisdom in order to operate and do the things that God has called me to do. It's just like Solomon. When you have an awesome responsibility, the first thing you should think about, God equipped me. Equip me for the awesome responsibility that I am coming into. Because some people just think about the money and they think about all the other things, but a man and woman of God, first thing that ought to come to mind is God really humble me and prepare me for what is about to happen, because I know all of the things that come our way, we must be prepared, and only God can truly prepare us. So coming from Proverbs chapter 6, the wisdom book, watch this. It says this in chapter 6, verse 1. My son, if thou become surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, and thou art taken with the word of thy mouth. When I look at this text on today, something happened to me this week at work. Someone was trying to get me to agree to something and shake on it before they said what they said. And so they come out with their hand extended, let's shake on it. And I was like, no, I'm not shaking on nothing with you before I find out what you're talking about. People will try to rush you into things, and they'll try to grab your hand and get your agreement before they even tell you what they are talking about. I know people have done it to you too, trying to get you to agree in on something that you didn't even hear about. People can sometimes try to be sneaky on you, and I was like, no, I'm not shaking your hand, because Proverbs 6 came to mind. It said, if you become surety for a friend, if y'all have stricken thy hand with a stranger. Well, it was strange because I didn't know what he was talking about. So, and I don't know what you're trying to get me to agree to. Be careful when a friend, so-called friend, comes up and tries to get you with a, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? You trying to get a commitment out of me before you tell me what you up to. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. What are you doing tomorrow? You have to watch out for people like that, because they will try to trap you into something before, and you will find yourself. And the only reason why they're coming to you like that, because they know that you're a person of your word. See, because that don't work for a liar. See, because a liar just tell you anything, and but a person of their word, people will always try to trap you up with your own words. This is what our text is telling us. It says, my son, if thou become surety for a friend, or if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, and thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Verse 3 tells us what to do. You say, Pastor, what to do? Here I'm about to tell you. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go, humble thyself, and make sure thy friend. As we prepare for the future and we're looking at things that are going out before us, it says, go now and deliver thyself. You must first think about your future and the future of those around you. You never want to be bound in a contract to anybody. You don't want to owe no man anything but to love them. So the first thing you do, even if you get into debt or even if you take an agreement, you need to sit down and write down, how am I going to work out of this agreement? Any man that takes on a plan to do something, he has to sit down and plan and write down this exit strategy. You need an exit strategy. How are you going to get out from under this debt? How are you going to get out from under this agreement? We need to set and plan. It says, go to now thy son and deliver thyself. A lot of people want other people to deliver. But what did it say? It says, son, go and deliver thyself. If God has equipped you to come to the situation, he will equip you to get out of the situation. We live in a society today where some people act like everybody owes you something. Well, no, everybody don't owe you nothing. God has blessed you with life, health, and strength. And if he takes you to a problem, he has given you the strength to be able to get out of the problem. He said, deliver thyself. Let's take inventory of what we are able to do. Let me sit down and write down my assets and my liabilities and see what I need. Maybe I need to cut back on this and do this, because we need to deliver ourselves from under the bondage of others. You don't want to live peaceably under the bondage of someone else, because God, whom the Son has set free, is free indeed. God intended for you to be free. He didn't intend for you to have to look for somebody else before you can open your mouth and agree to something. He never intended for another human to have dominion over another human. He meant for us to have dominion over this earth. Your dominion, it doesn't apply to your wife or anybody else. Your dominion is for you working out your situations. Nobody was meant to rule over someone else. So the first person you must look at is the man or woman in the mirror. I'm looking to myself, and how can I get deliverance out of the situation? It says, watch this. When I come into the hand of thy friend, go and humble thyself and make sure thy friend. When you get into a situation, you need to be able to check those that are around you. And first of all, it says you don't go proud and haughty, you go in an humble situation. Now, even if the situation may be a tension situation, this text right here says to humble ourselves. So watch this. The man and woman of God is the first one to surrender. Watch this. Humble yourself. Amen. That's like a surrender position. I'm not coming to fight and be contentious. See, some people show up ready to fight. He didn't tell you to show up ready to fight. He said, humble yourself. You go in and you diffuse the situation. Some people don't know how to diffuse situations. It's already an issue. It's already something going on. But he said, if you've been caught in a snare and you said it with your own mouth, here's how you deliver yourself. You go to your friend and you humble yourself. You don't go with pride and arrogance. You go humbly and saying, look, I'm not trying to start something. I'm trying to get this thing over with. So I'm going to humbly approach you. I'm not going to approach you in pride. I got something else to say about that pride a little later here in the text. But watch. He says, give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thy eyelids. Do it quickly. He said, don't rest. Don't let that thing slip. See, because if you take one nap, you're going to take another and you're going to forget about the situation. So you must go and address the situation. You know, when people have arts and when somebody has something against you or you have something against somebody else, go to that person. Don't tell everybody else before you even tell the person. Because sometimes you hear about the issue from other people before you hear about the person that was even offended. The text says go to that person, go to your friend, go to that person and address the issue so they don't have to get, and he said don't sleep about it, don't wait, because if you sleep, somebody else might come with it. I need you to handle your business, because as you are solidifying and looking out for your future, you're also concerned about the people around you. And the thing about it, no man is an island. Everybody needs somebody. So you need your relationships to be right. In order for your word to stay with good credit, you have to be the one to deliver thyself. That means I'm not going to be afraid to address people. We're living in a society today where people are afraid of confrontation. People are afraid to address people. And because people are afraid to address people, they carry guns and knives and all kinds of things. And they're ready to lash out first before talking to somebody. Because people don't know how to handle confrontation. Well, look, this proverb is giving us wisdom for the future. Wisdom for the future is you've got to develop the ability to be able to talk to people, even in contentious situations. This is how you deliver yourself and you present yourself. Your credit is good, but your credit is about to be demised. Your credit is about to be messed up. But watch, you can fix your credit by going yourself and delivering yourself out of that situation. And the first step is humbling yourself. Yes. Humility is power under control. Just because I got the power to fix it don't mean I got to flash it to everybody. Amen. Come on, sir. Jesus had the power to fix all kinds of things, but what? He dealt with us and he listened to us and he deals with all of our issues with humility. We must learn how to deal with things with humility as well. And sometimes, I can be guilty as well. I can be so ready trying to fix a situation to where I'm not fully listening to the situation. My wife is smiling because, as soon as she tell me she got an issue, I done gone into fix-it mode. And so before I didn't heard the whole issue, I'm like, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? How do I need to fix this situation? Well, it's because it's a good thing, because it's in us, it's in a man to fix a situation. It's in a woman to talk about a situation. It's in a man to fix the situation. Let's get to the point of what's going on. But it's in a woman to want to talk about the situation. So I'm more about action, but so sometimes I have to slow my roll and humble. And be like, wait, okay, be sure you hear everything what they're saying. Because sometimes a woman don't want something fixed. Sometimes she just wants you to hear it. So you have to listen and devise which opportunity is this. Is this the fix it mode or is this the listen mode? And I have to switch between the two. Sometimes my switch gets stuck, but y'all pray for me. All right. Humble thyself and make sure that friend, don't give sleep to thine eyes, don't give slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, as a bird from the hand of the fowler. The devil is trying to kill, steal, and destroy. You can make the first move before the enemy makes the first move. When you see the enemy approaching, we've all lived long enough to be able to see when something's about to pop off. What we need to do is we need to be proactive rather than being reactive. Sometimes you'll wait till the fight and everything else don't broke out when you could have diffused the situation because you saw it coming. He said, deliver thyself like a roe from the hand of the hunter. The longer we live, the more we see situations. And I will try, if someone asks me, especially some advice about something that I know that I've been trapped in before, and I know how to get the way out, I'm going to tell you how to get out. I'm going to tell you not to go down there. I'm going to tell you you need to avoid that situation. I'm going to tell you that you don't need to go down and listen to that joker because he's going to try to get you every time. What you need to do, be an advisor. Be willing to help somebody else out. Don't just say, well, they just going to have to come up like I come up. I had my bumps and bruises. They going to experience. No, that ain't God's way. God's way is that if you have wisdom and you have the knowledge to be able to help somebody else, do so. Help them. Deliver them, because these are tight situations that we are coming into. I never shall forget, on our way to buy our first house, me and my wife, we went through so many things, and we were so young, and it was hard to get anybody to tell you anything about buying a house back in our day. I ain't gonna tell you how old we are, but back in our day, it was hard to tell you. People just wouldn't tell you nothing. Wouldn't tell you, they wouldn't walk you through the process. They afraid, I guess you're gonna ask them for something. But people did not want to help other people get ahead. The only way we're ever going to get ahead in anything is somebody turns around and helps someone else. A lot of parents will do the same thing. They say, well, I know that my kid is going to have to suffer just like I suffered. But that ain't what the word say. The word says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's why we're in the state that we are right now, because it's almost like every generation had to start over. Well, starting over stops right here. My kids are not going to have to start over from scratch. We're going to be able to give them a pattern, give them a guide, show them this is how you do this. This is how you run a business. This is how you operate. This one door shut, you go open up a door doing something else. I'm going to equip my children, and I'm going to equip. That's why this is Empowerment Church. I'm going to empower everybody that I know, everybody that I see, that there is a better way. And as I go, you coming with me, because I'm not going by myself. We're preparing for the future. Watch this. As you deliver yourself and you see situations, don't let people get trapped into stuff when you see the trap. If you see the trap, say something. Say something. You see people carrying out a lifestyle and acting a certain way. You don't need to act like that, because what's going to come your way is not what you're looking for. And I'm just going to tell you, you may not like me, but you'll remember what I said when you get in that situation. Yes. Deliver yourself from that, because that is not the way you want to operate. But watch this. Verse 6 says something. It says, go to the end. Go to the end. The first word, go, indicates that there's somewhere higher than where we are right now. We must be willing to go around higher. Don't get stuck in the state where you are, because God is progressively productive. God is a creator, and the creator has put creation on the inside of us and given us dominion to keep it and to dress it. So if he's given us the commission to keep it and to dress it, we must improve and we must go. You can't improve and make things better if you don't go. And watch this. And he said, go to look at the ant. Look at the ant. Sometimes we think we get so big that where we don't notice things that are around us. He said, notice that little creature on the ground, the ant. Stop being in such a hurry to where you're passing by everything. Solomon wrote Proverbs about birds, trees, ants, spiders, and all of these things. And he was the wisest man on the earth. And he's just observing nature. Why nature? Because God has put in nature everything nature needs. And if God has put that wisdom into nature, everything that nature needs, there's something that we can learn from watching nature, because that's not just birds operating, that's God showing them how to operate. I was watching, flipping through Instagram, and I noticed there's a bird that makes a nest in the tree. And this bird makes a nest in the tree. The snake was always climbing up and getting this bird's eggs out of his nest. So what the bird decided to do, God put in this bird to make a false opening. There's a false opening on the nest for the snake to go into. And the other opening is the real opening that the bird can seal up, where the bird goes in. So when the snake comes up to look for the eggs in the nest, the snake can even get all the way in, but when he gets in, he's the only thing in there. Because the bird has learned to create two entrances. One for the snake to get nothing, and one for me to go in and be with my family. Now, God has put in this bird and in this ant and in all of nature things, but we need to take the time to observe and look around. Right. So what is he saying? He's saying you need to have more than one way out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You put all your stuff in one basket, you better have another way out, because you know the enemy is lurking around. So what you going to do if you don't put everything all on one thing? Because we got some gamblers and we got all these other things, and you waiting on your number to hit and all this other stuff. You better take your eggs out of that basket, and you better put your eggs in with the Lord, because he says you got to have another way out. You will never lose giving and investing in what God has commissioned you to do. Seek his purpose and seek his ways. Watch this. He says, go to the ant, thou sluggard. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Now look, Solomon even he offends in what he's saying because he's trying to get your attention. Some people don't hear till you express it in a different way. I know sometimes you have to get my attention, but he says, go to the ant, thou sluggard. He's trying to pull you out of your slowfulness. But watch this. Only people that have an enlarged ego are offended. People that are walking in their ego and walking in pride and arrogance are quickly offended. Why are they quickly offended? Because they're always walking around with a chip on your shoulder and waiting on somebody to say something to you. You would not handle that thing wrong if that's not who you are. You don't respond until somebody calls you out. So if that's not you, why are you responding? Some people respond to everything. They get mad at the drop of a hat, and sometimes they drop the hat. You all upset about all kind of stuff. But he said, go to the ant. He's just calling out the truth. If you're acting like a sluggard, look at the ant, observe what's going around you, and consider her ways and be wise. Instead of you being so quick to get mad or upset about something, consider something and be wise. Just wait and hear out the situation. Don't be so quick, because when you're walking in the flesh, then you're quick to be offended. And you can't even learn nothing from the situation that God is showing you, because you so offended. I think he might have said something about black people. You ready to fight already? You ready to march? You ready to do all kinds of things? But wait, how about you just listen to what's going on first and consider some of the stuff that you're doing, you're bringing upon yourself. Consider your ways. Just take time to listen. Don't be so quick to be offended and thinking everybody is against you. Just stop and wait, and you can make even a foolish person. You can learn from a foolish person by learning, I ain't gonna do what that person doing. So you can learn from everything. And even a fool, it seems to be wise until they open up their mouth. But what you must do is you must say, well, look, I'm going to be the type of person that I'm going to be so observant that I'm watching for the ant and everything around me, and I'm going to consider it, and I'm going to be wise. In order for you to prepare for the future, don't rush past everything. Don't be so quick to get offended. Don't walk in your ego and in your pride. He says, be wise. Because watch this, they have no God, nor overseer, nor ruler, but they provide meat in the summer and gather her food in harvest. They prepare for bad times during good times. This is what the Bible is telling us we must do. When it's good time, the ant is saying, I better get ready. It's summer, but winter is coming. So don't be so caught up with the good to where you're not thinking about the hard times that might come. The ant, if the ant is going to prepare, if you watch an ant during the summer, those ants are busy. They either building or they collecting food. They're doing something the whole time, but we the only one that want to take a break after we just took a break. You know, we will relax and we will do nothing but watch. Keep an agenda. Watch the ant. The ant is always preparing. We've already learned, watch, prepare you more than one way out. Humble yourself and don't get all haughty with your friend. Make sure you're friends. Deliver thyself, observe the ant, and as we go during good times, we're going to also remember to prepare for the bad time. Because it said, how long wilt thou sleep, thou sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, verse 10, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. Poverty will come to those who are not prepared. If you only want to do what you want to do, just like I talked about last week, you got to find your motivation. Your motivation is found in God. Why do I want to press on? Why do I want to do? Why do I have a drive within me to do? Because the drive came from God. That creative drive came from God. And God wants you to be a blessing in every area that you can, and he's already gifted you for it. Yes. And if he's already gifted you for it, why would we sleep on his gift? Right. You sleep on his gift when you choose not to participate in life. You sleep on your gift when you say it's just for me and myself and I. You sleep on your gift when you ignore those loved ones and your family members that need to know the way out. But if you're learning the truth, what are you learning the truth for? You're learning the truth so you can share it with someone else. We were meant to work together. We were meant to work in community. We are the body of Christ. The body is not one person. The body needs all of us. And as the body needs all of us, we all participate. We all come together because, watch, I just don't have myself in mind. My motivation is everybody that God has meant for me to touch. And so everybody that God has meant for me to touch, and that's it. And I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. That's why God has given me family and he's given me friends. I'm going to pour as much as I can into my family and those around me. Because we have to keep pushing toward the future. God has prepared a place for us. But when it's your time to rest, what about the rest of the people that are behind? You should seek to leave the wisdom and the knowledge and the direction and even the assets, because you're not going to pack up the assets and go with you. But it's going to have to hand it to somebody responsible. But how are they going to be responsible if you never spent the time teaching them? We talk about, they just waste everything they got. Well, how much are you preaching and teaching to them? You have to preach and teach, and somebody's going to listen. It may be the least likely person. Somebody's listening to you. Somebody's listening to everything that you're saying. Because God knows we all have a time where we're going home to be with him. But as you prepare for your future, just like you're preparing here, there's a way to prepare for going there as well. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. We don't have to sorrow as the world sorrows because we know who's in control of everything. We know when this earthly tabernacle be removed, that we have another building, not made by hands, eternal in the heavens. And so because we know this, you're continuing to prepare for your future. You prepare for your future by walking with God in fellowship with him, and he's shown us the way. The way is Jesus Christ, who died for your sins. He shed his blood so that you can have a right to go before the Father. There's no other way. And I know people say, well, there's all kind of different ways. Well, there's only one right way to come in your house. You know, you may invite me to your house and I show up on your front doorsteps. That's the way that you invite me in. Mm-hmm. But if I show up your house in the middle of the night coming through your kitchen window, how come you think you're going to go into God's house any kind of way? Right. Jesus said, I am the door. So you're going to break in the back of heaven? You're going to be climbing in the window? No, you going through if I can't come to your house my kind of way, I'm in the corner of the garage when you pull in. No, you're going to have something for me if I'm hiding in the corner of the garage. No, I didn't enter in the right way. But yet you go into God's house your kind of way. Any way I can go, if I'm just a doorkeeper or whatever, no, you're going to be expected if you go in there. So just like there's one way to come into your house, and that's the right way. People used to show up on our doorstep unannounced or whatever. You just going to be standing out there unannounced. Because if you haven't announced it, you hadn't told us we was coming. Ain't nobody expecting you. And so if nobody's expecting you, well, I'm not getting up because I wasn't expecting no governor. So the thing is, you best call if you come. So heaven is God's house. If you coming, your name is written. If your name ain't written, if your name been blotted out, guess where you ain't going? So, I don't know why in the world we feel like we can do God's house one way and we can do our house another way. There's a right way to come into your house. There's a right way to go into God's house. Jesus said, I am the door. He said, I am the way. And he said, I am the bread. He tried to make it as clear as he could that you got to come through. No man comes to the Father except you go through Jesus Christ. We don't have to make excuses. All we got to do is just speak the wisdom and knowledge that we have. That's all I can do is just give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But notice this, somebody's listening. And while somebody's listening, you can accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And you can say, Lord, I want to be a part of your kingdom. I want to know where I'm going. I want to secure my future. I'm going to look out for my family. I'm going to look out for my relationships. I don't just want to live and be any kind of way. I want my credit to be good with my neighbors. I want my credit to be good with everyone that wants to be good. Now, there are some goats. I talked about sheep and goats last week. There are some goats that won't be converted. So don't waste your time trying to convert a goat. Stick with the lost sheep and the saved sheep. And they will listen to you, and you will be able to keep your name clean. You don't go shaking hands and making agreements that God hadn't told you to make. And if you do get into a mess, he said, deliver thyself. Yes. God will equip you to deliver thyself. Notice the little things around you. Don't overlook the end. There's always something to learn from somebody. Yes. You haven't arrived. That's right. Every day that you live, you're learning something new. And when I learn something new, I'm going to tell somebody else. Right. How else are they going to be equipped for the storms of life if you don't equip them? Right. You walking around and don't nobody know nothing, but you ain't sharing nothing, so you just as guilty. You telling them they don't know, but you're not willing to teach, you're not willing to share, and when you open your mouth, you're not arrogant. The Bible said to be humble. Humble. Yes. Just like everything that you received, somebody gave it to you. But only humans act like we don't arrive and we don't got it all. The same thing you didn't know, somebody had to tell you. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes time to train somebody else, you acting all arrogant. What's wrong with you? You wouldn't have nothing. You wouldn't be no senator, president, or nothing else unless somebody helped you step by step. And now you better than everybody else. The only way you learn is because somebody taught you. So as we learn from one another, you won't get so grand and think it's all about you, because if it wasn't somebody teaching you something, you still be stupid as well. Yeah. So we must learn to listen. We must learn to be attentive to what's going around us. Don't overlook the ant. But you can't be lazy. Your own laziness will be your worst enemy. If you ain't picked up no book but just to move it out the way to dust, pick up something and read. Read the word. If you got to listen to some audio stuff, listen to some audio stuff. I'll always be learning each and every day because somebody is listening to you. Somebody's listening. Somebody's got to pick up where you leave off because God has a finish line for each and every one of us. We want to be like Paul and say, I've run the race. I finished the course. I'm ready to go and I know where I'm going. But you can only know if you prepare right now. This is the opportunity. This is the time to prepare for the future because that's where we're going. There's nobody else's fault if you haven't set your short-term and long-range goals. If you haven't set your agenda to get out of this situation and to make things better for everyone around you. People are willing to help. People are willing to tell you. People are willing to guide you. But you got to get out there in order to do it. Nobody's going to break your door down, but you must be willing. Get out. Fellowship. Do what God has called you to do. And when you're about God's business, you don't have to fear the enemy. Although the hunter is out there, God has given me the ability to deliver myself. I'm going to operate in wisdom. I'm going to operate in knowledge. I'm going to watch the ant, and I'm going to be wise. So as we're wise as serpents, we're harmless as doves. I've humbled myself and said, no, I'm not coming to start something. I'm coming to help something. And if you want my help, I'll help. But if you don't want my help, I'm going to wipe the dust off the feet like he told the disciples, and I'm going to keep on going. But I'm going to continue to be who God